rolling with Dr. K. Dr. K. 100 shades of diversibilities. Every day we're rolling with Dr. K. Oh, Dr. K. 100 shades of diversibilities every day. Ah, yeah, we're rolling. We're rolling with Dr. K. Dr.
Oh, wait a minute. Sometimes it's so good you got to play it twice. I just like hearing that, but it was wonderful.
Yes.
And good afternoon. All right, Queens. Yes, go find your crowns. Go put it on. I don't know how long it's going to stay on because I have no hair. I'm about to snatch it off. It's getting nothing but head. Okay. And it tingles. I don't know if you hear.
Yes, I love it.
You shake your head like this.
I love it.
So it tingles. So I'm not sure how long. Again, not sure how long it's gonna stay on. So if y'all don't catch it at the beginning,
don't worry. I'll snap a picture real quick and get it for you.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Where's the little thing?
So people can know.
Here we go. Ready? We're gonna smile. Okay, we just did a screenshot. So I took a picture. It happened, and that's all I got to say.
There you go. You'll see it later.
I'm here to tell you. So, guys, we have rolled all the way to the Bronx, New York. Yeah, she gets all over in this chair. We don't let it stop her.
No.
As I'm tinkling all the way. How are you?
I'm doing well. Busy, but good.
I am here with Latavia Sturdivant. Y'all wait for it, friends and neighbors. Yes, they do have beauty pageants for women in wheelchairs, but they don't call them a beauty pageant. But I'm sorry, if I got to put on makeup, put on a tiara and a crown and a sash and a formal gown, and I got to tell you something, that's a pageant.
Yes, it is.
Wait for it. That's a pageant.
It's a pageant with a purpose. How about that?
Yes, I agree. What makes the difference between this pageant and all other pageants is that the women are actually doing the work. You know how they ask the girls, so if you have the crown, what would you change in the world for the day? And they give you this nice fluffy answer. But the women who participate in Miss Wheelchair America and Miss Wheelchair USA actually have wheels on the ground and are going across these United States, educating folks, advocating, and doing some amazing things. You are a speech language pathologist?
Yes.
I can't believe it. That was a lot of words that was coming out of my mouth.
Yes. So I help children and adults communicate, whether that be with speech, whether that be understanding what they need to be able to read, write, and with social skills. I think that's the biggest misconception about being a speech language pathologist. A lot of people think, oh, I just go to them if I need help talking. No, we deal with voice, we deal with social skills, we deal with understanding, we deal with writing, everything you could possibly think of when it comes to language and just straight out communicating, we do. And so I've been a speech language pathologist now for 10 years. I just made 10 years. So.
Are you serious?
Yes, I just made 10 years this month.
Girl, wait a minute. Wait for it. So, unbeknownst to most people, other than I think only 2 people know, my caregivers, that I go to speech therapy. It's like, really? What? And like you said, there is so much more to speech therapy. Because when I went in fact, I had an appointment on the 15th of this month. I went in and she had a deck of cards on the table. I said, "What are the cards for?" She says, "Well, I have this guy that has Parkinson's. And so, see the book over there?" I said, "Yeah." He has to read and play, I guess, solitaire at the same time, so to help him to multitask. I said, "Oh, okay." Then I saw this a tape measure. And I said, "What are you doing with the tape measure here?" She says, "Well, see the microphone?" I said, "Yes." She said, "We work on voice projection and it has to be so many inches away from the mic." And I was like, "Okay." So everybody is getting something different when they go. What is your favorite um, modality when it comes to speech language pathology?
I don't think I have a favorite modality. I would say most of my work has been with children from preschool all the way to 18 years old. And I've been working with language and literacy all that time. So, helping them read with their phonics skills, building that phonological awareness, building their writing skills, building their reading comprehension skills. That is one of the most things that I enjoy, and just watching them expand their language skills is great for me. But I have to tell you a little secret. One of my favorite populations to work with is high school. And everyone says,
Really?
"Oh no, I cannot do high schoolers." But I absolutely love it. And here's why. You build a bond with them, or at least
Mm.
I do in my profession, because they've had speech for so long till they're like, "Oh, I'm over it. You're not going to teach me anything new. Forget about it. There's no way I'm doing this." Or they'll go and hide and say, like, "I'm not here today. You can't find me." So they build like a tough exterior, and for me, I always like a challenge a bit. So it's always a little bit of a challenge to be like, "You know what, I'm not like every other speech therapist you met. Like, I really am about making sure you work on what you want to work on, and we work as a team. So let's build this relationship first, and then let's watch your skills blossom. I help you, you help me." So for me, working with high schoolers is one of the best, and then I get to help them find their voice when it comes to advocacy, because a lot of them don't even know what an individualized education plan is, or why they even have one, or what some of the techniques that would help them to learn better while they're in the classroom when I'm not there with them. And so I get to teach them all of those things, and then teach them how to advocate for themselves and work on job interviewing if that's something they want to do, resume building if that's something they want to do. So high school for me is my favorite population to work with.
I went to speech therapy right after I had my stroke. Well, I was in the hospital and the speech therapist came there. Do you go to the hospitals or you just stay at the schools?
I stay in the school. So here's the thing. I am an independent contractor, which means wherever they need me in the New York City DOE schools, that's where I go. But I'm contracted through an agency. The reason why I did that instead of staying in the school system is it gives me a lot of flexibility to create my own hours. And we're rolling on six wheels. So whenever we have a health issue or we need to take off, sometimes jobs are not that understanding, and so I would have had to fill out a family medical leave, do all this paperwork, and I'm just like, I don't want to do all that. So, being an independent contractor, I get to make my own hours. And if I can't go to work for whatever reason, whether it be the chair is broke or, I just can't get up out of bed, I just don't get paid for that day. And that's it. I don't have to deal with any type of work related backlash because I couldn't come in.
I love it. Why are you in the wheelchair?
So I was born with cerebral palsy, spastic quadriplegia, and according to the doctors, that's the most severe form, and that's because it affects your head, neck, shoulders, even your speech. So the tongue is the largest muscle in the body. So when I was born, And I was about 18 months old. My mom got the diagnosis for me, and they told her, like, if she's not sitting up by the age of 2 or somewhere around there. Anyway, if I wasn't meeting the milestones, then I would never walk. I would never be potty trained. I would never talk. I would never do anything. And so, they're always going by book knowledge, but I believe in
Mhm.
God. So God was like, that's not the call I have for her life. And my mom was very much one of those moms that's like, all right, I understand you have your book knowledge, but I also have my faith and I believe in the man above. And I'm looking at her little face and she seems normal. And so I'm going to treat her just like she's normal. And she's going to be able to do whatever God intends for her to do. So mom went through all the therapies with me. I had feeding therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. I had the whole gamut. And she went through every therapy with me. Whenever they showed her technique, she would come home, she would do it. I remember her telling me one of the stories, like my hands would be balled up like this, and she didn't really understand why. But the occupational therapist would say, like, she needs a splint for her hand, and every so often, I want you to open it up. And my tone would fight against her hand, but the more you do the exercise, the more you weaken the tone. But it's just basically my brain is not sending signals to my body. Oh, Miss WheelChair America says hello. Um,
Yes. Yay.
So my brain is not sending the signals to my body. And so cognitively, I was spared. So all my cognitive is intact. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about developmental disabilities. And developmental disabilities just means you're born with it, right? But sometimes, depending on the area of the brain that was damaged, you could have cognitive and intellectual disabilities. Because I was born early, I was a preemie, 28 weeks. That part of the brain that controls cognition and the intellect wasn't damaged at all. It was just the motor part.
Yes.
So, because of that, I have normal, or what they consider, I hate saying the word normal. Typically developing intellect. Nothing wrong with the intellect. It's just the motor impairments that affect me the most. And so if I was diagnosed today with all the work that my mom put in, I would be considered cerebral palsy, spastic diplegia, because now my legs are more affected than my upper half. But when I tell you moving is a struggle because it always feels like there's 20-pound weights on my body, or like if I don't have my braces on, I feel like I have all 89 pounds of me soaking wet, leaning down on my feet. And that's just because my muscles are contracting constantly all day long. That's the spasticity. So it never goes away. But they do have pills that lessen that. I personally don't like to take it because when I do, I feel like some of my spasticity I need to move around.
So do you
So
take baclofen?
yes, I take the
That's
pill.
so
I
you
take
don't have the pump.
No, I don't have the pump. Um,
Okay, so I'm gonna break in just a little bit.
mhm.
Now, everybody needs to know that cerebral palsy is having a stroke in utero. That means while she was inside of her mother's womb, she was having a stroke. I had a stroke outside of the womb. Mine is considered an acquired disability because I had it after I was like 47 years old when I had my stroke. And I was on baclofen and it wasn't working for me. That was probably the biggest part is the spasticity and the tone and making sure that we have the doses right with the pump because you rely on some of that tone and spasticity to be able to function. And we went too far and I was more flaccid than I was spastic and toned, and I couldn't function. So I had to go back and back it up. So we took away a lot of the medicine, and it has worked really well for me where I am right now. So I've been at the same level maybe about 7 months. And in fact, I go in a couple of weeks to get my pump changed. I call it my oil change.
Okay.
And so I get my oil change like every 6 weeks, like clockwork. As soon as we come out, we stop at the desk. I have my phone. I'm like, okay, let me pull up Google, on the Google Calendar. Beep 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 beep. Okay, we're done. Um, so there are some similarities between the cerebral palsy, which is in utero stroke, and then the outer stroke. We were having a conversation in the green room, if you will, and we were talking about driving. So I just found out in December that I'm eligible for another car. So they bought me a car in 2017. I was driving, and that was crazy. But that's how my spasticity worked for me, is that I could get myself out of the car, and I call that little leg, the left leg I use as I consider it a kickstand, because
Okay.
the tone is just was so tight. And I could whip that wheelchair with just one hand, one arm. I can get it in, throw it in the back of my car, snatch it out, and get it down, get that cushion in there, and I'm ready to go. When I got the pump put in December 14th, as a matter of fact, of 2021, they told me I was not going to be able to lift anything more than 5 pounds. So they were like, you're not going to be able to get that wheelchair in and out like you've been doing. You need to figure something else out. And when you're ready and you find your perfect level with your backlifting pump, then we can talk about you doing driver's, training. Now, I'm a veteran, United States Navy.
Thank you for your service.
You guys are welcome. So welcome. We have a program already to be able to teach you how to, drive again. They have this amazing room that's a simulator. And whatever your disc is, they have equipment that they can switch out to put on there for you to train. Do civilians have the same thing?
Yeah, so at least here in New York, because I don't want to speak for other states, in New York, we do have driver rehab programs. Here's the thing, we used to have a lot. I think now we're down to one that services all of the New York City area. And
Mhm.
so, because you're down to one and there's no competition, and when you make a lot of money and you don't qualify for the programs that do help you with drivers, you then have to come out of pocket because not only am I a speech therapist, but I'm also an adjunct professor. So, having both of those jobs, I don't qualify for the vested program anymore. So, I have to pay out of pocket.
How much does
One
the program cost?
one lesson out of pocket was costing me like 300 something dollars.
Oh, that's not bad. I thought it was going to be more than that.
Yeah. Here's the thing, because he's servicing all of the New York area, it's hard for him to come consistently and do lessons, and you have to consistently do the lessons. So I was getting up to a point where I was doing them consistently. When it was time for the driver exam, I went the first time and I did it in the Bronx. And the lady was like, "Oh, I don't know how to assess someone like you." I should have got out the car right then and there, but I was young at the time. I think I was like late 20s, mid 20s. So, you're so excited to be driving. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to still go in the car, do what I need to do. Hi. And everything will be all right. So I went in. You could tell she was extremely nervous, wasn't comfortable with me driving. And by the time I finished that exam, she said I almost crashed into another car. I didn't put on my signals. And none of that happened, by the way. None of it happened. I didn't put on my signals. I didn't. But I think it was because she wasn't familiar with the car and how the hand controls work. you were looking for me to turn on the regular light switch, and that's not how I turned it on. I turned it on by a button. So I was like, okay, it's okay. I'm gonna try again. This time I went upstate New York to do. The same guy said, "Oh, I don't know how to assess somebody like you." This was a different guy now. "I don't know how to assess somebody like you." I should have ran, but I was so eager to start driving that I didn't. And he made me so nervous that I ended up hitting the curb when I was parking, that I was
Yeah.
it was an automatic fail. So I was like, you know what, God, when the time is right, you'll make it easy for me to walk through, and it's not going to be so many difficulties and hurdles. I'll get the right person who really knows how hand controls work, how we drive, and I'll be able to drive. I just took it as God telling me, not yet, not time. And so I took a pause on it.
Okay, we got some viewers. We got Shayna Thomas all the way from Maryland. That means she's close to you. And she says hello. We have Dr. Vertanji who is watching from Detroit, Michigan. She says great day. And I just saw Shantae's Taz. She popped in. Hey Taz and Kicks. Hey guys. So glad to have you here.
I agree, Shane. I agree.
When did she say? When is
She
the
said,
when is
yes, when the time is right, God will do it. He sure will.
now I am, since they told me in December that I am eligible for another car. Supposedly you only get one per lifetime, but you can have many adaptations. The one adaptation I know to a car was going to be $35,000. I said, child, that's the price of a car.
That's the
For,
other piece. It's expensive.
for the adaptations. I tell you, I am so glad that I am a veteran because all of that is covered. So that is my goal for this year. I have been, let's see, seven. This is maybe the eighth month or the ninth month. Okay, maybe the eighth month that I have been at this level, and it works for me. So I'm excited to be able to start. Um, I'll tell my doctor that I'm ready to drive. And let's see who we got. Well, comments are coming in. Y'all, I apologize. We got all kinds of hearts coming in. Comments. I'm trying to keep up with y'all and do the show at the same time. Thank y'all. Love you.
Thank you.
Um, I'm going to reach out to my doctor and tell her that I'm ready. So they'll do a complete physical on me to make sure everything is good. They'll check with the other doctor that does my pump, make sure it's at the right level, that we're good to go. And I'm excited. I'm ready. I already know what kind of car I
Excited
want.
for you.
I know what kind of car I want. But I will say, I'm gonna tell my truth. I do appreciate not having to park. You
Okay.
know, so I when people pick me up or they take me, uh, I get to just get off at the front door, go in, and that's it. Don't look for anything because what I'm realizing when we're parking, there isn't always enough room
That part.
for me to even get out in the wheelchair. Because right now I'm transferring. Okay, here we go. Shayna says, how do they expect a person living with a disability and may have limited income to afford to drive or have a vehicle? Well, the expectation is that you have some sort of insurance, and insurance does kind of help you with some of that. Your doctor writes a prescription out and you should be able to go. So it just depends on your insurance. Renee says, if it is hard for me to transfer from car to car because I cannot stand up on my own and I don't have a lift for me, for my chair to take my power chair. So Renee, do you have a manual chair that you can be in?
Not only that, they do have vehicles where they have the ramp and you could roll right in, because I can't transfer either, Renee. So how I would drive is I would have the one with the motorized ramp, and it would be a side entry. So then you go in through the side and you drive straight from your chair. That driver's seat comes out. You'll have an easy lock on the floor, which is another expense, and then you roll right onto the easy lock, which is right up underneath your steering wheel, and whatever you used to drive with, that's what you'll drive, but you'll drive from your chair. So it is possible to drive from your motorized chair, because that's what I will have to do. I will have to drive from
And
my
that's
car.
what I'm gonna do. I'm not going to. So Renee, the other thing is they make Chrysler, well, all everybody, but that's what I want. And I think that's probably the nicest, and it's the biggest one for you to be able to get motorized chairs in without tearing up the interior of the car. Most of the, let me see, the Blazer makes one, Toyota makes one, and Honda
Yeah.
makes one, but they're more geared for a manual chair than they are a motorized chair because of the height. But if you get a Chrysler, the motorized chair fits in perfectly. And the thing with that is you get both the chairs, and both of the chairs are removable. So if you're by yourself, then someone would have to take out the driver chair for
Yeah.
you to be able to get in. And then when you're the passenger, they'll put that chair back in and remove the passenger side for you to roll in there. Now, the wonderful caveat about that is that it's on wheels. So you just unlock and you just wheel it down the ramp, up and down. She says she can't get a hold of anybody who has the wait a minute.
Handicap van. Where do you live? Because that's part of the problem too. And I guess, so here's the thing, this is exactly what my platform is about, is that what people don't realize is back in the day we had a lot more options than we do now for a lot of the services. At least here in New York, I could say we've lost a lot of our driving places. um there's not a lot of repair shops anymore that repair handicapped vehicles anymore. And there really isn't, like, a lot of companies are not really making that many side entry vans. And if you notice, the vehicles are a lot smaller than what they used to be, and that's
Mm-hmm.
because they moved over to the electric cars, and they haven't quite figured out how to put our systems and the things that we need in the electric vehicles yet. And so they've kind of like opted to making them smaller. What a lot of people don't know is that there's a weight capacity limit on a lot of the vehicles. And so I know when I was
Yes.
looking into another one with a smaller size, they said if you were going to have, yeah, I don't know if Ohio has a lot of places anymore, but I could reach out to Miss Wheelchair Ohio and see what's going on with that in your state. I'm not quite sure, but we are losing a lot of those places. But the other caveat, like I was saying, is they're making them smaller. And so because they're making them smaller to accommodate the electrical part of it, and they haven't quite figured it out. When you put a system like I need, I don't know if you need a Dr. Kimberly, but I need one of the motorized ones. So I either need a EMC, or I need what they call a Scott system. I could drive both, it really doesn't matter. But when you need those more technical versions, that adds weight to the vehicle and then your chair. So let's say you wanted another person in a wheelchair to ride in the vehicle with you. It might be over capacity of the limit,
Yep.
because they add the system and then add your chair pounds into it. So that's another factor that people don't realize either.
Okay. So Renee, the other thing that I would have you to do is reach out to your Center for Independent Living in Ohio. They would have the most up-to-date transportation systems, where to get, a vehicle, or if you use transportation systems. So here we have like three companies that you can call. That's for civilians. So for civilians, there's like three companies that you can reach out to if you need transportation. And then we have a committee at the Center for Independent Living that's all they work on is transportation for persons with disabilities. So again, check with them because they may have a separate committee that does the same thing. The other piece is well, I'm a veteran. So if you're a veteran and you need transportation, then they have services as well that is no charge. Many of them are no charge. Others, it's a minimal charge. And Renee says, I'm the
She's the ambassador for Miss
ambassador.
WheelChair, Ohio. Well, hello.
Well, all right.
Um,
Look, wait a minute. Hold on. And shake your head.
yes, yes. All right
Well,
now.
honey, guess what? Then that's what we're going to reach out to you. I know I will. And I'm sure uh,
I will.
Miss Wheelchair America of all of these United States, y'all. And I just have to say it. I think that it's amazing that you're Black. I just have to say that. And I'm grown enough and I'm old enough, and this is my own channel, so I can say it. I'm so excited that you are Black. I almost want you to come back, for Black History Month, come back for Women's History Month, you know, and talk about it because we touched on it a little bit about our color and having a disability.
Oh
That's
yeah.
a whole,
I remember that panel we were on. That's a whole nother giant.
I'm excited because I work with Divas with Disabilities. Have you worked with them? Divas
No.
with Disabilities, the Divas with Disabilities Project out of Washington, D.C. Got to get you connected.
Yes.
These are women. It's international, first and foremost. Shout out to Dr. Donna Walton, who is the executive director and the founder. She really focuses on our representation in the arts.
Okay.
So she created, and you guys have to watch it. It's on YouTube. I'll post it on the page after the show. And it's called Divas in the City. And it's a reality show that follows the life of like 4 or 5 women who have varied disabilities. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that these are all women of color and varied color, black, brown, yellow. And I have found I am 60 years old this year.
Woo-hoo.
I
Milestone
know.
birthday.
Girl,
What you doing?
I want to go to Jamaica and do ministry.
Okay.
So I just said it to my purpose partner last night that for my 60th birthday, I want to go to Jamaica and I want to make it a ministry trip and just a whole bunch of stuff that I have in my mind planned to do. I know that it'll happen.
Awesome.
I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited for you. We went to Montego Bay year before last. So, and it's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Um,
And the piece that I'm going to really enjoy is that I will go live from there for the show.
yeah.
Everybody will get an opportunity in real time to
To
see what
see.
they have, and we'll look at what's the accessibility someplace else other than here
Yeah.
in the United States. But I have to tell you that what I'm finding is churches. Do you attend church?
Yes, I do.
Is your church
Actually,
accessible?
my aunt is a pastor. So,
Girl, look at God. And it's accessible, right?
well, see, that's the thing. So I usually do online, like I'll watch the service online because you can't find a lot of churches in the city area that are, because a lot of them are like historic buildings, and the caveat with it being historic. So there is one that I attend, Friendly Baptist Church in the Bronx, that you could get in, but I happen to actually like Zoom too as much as well because you could participate from anywhere. But yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah, that part.
That's always sticky because even if you can get in, now you know you can't use the restroom when you get in there. It's not big enough. So, you
That is.
know.
It is now 35 minutes after the hour. It is
Oh my
4:35,
goodness.
and you are tuned into Rolling on the Road. And we are in the Bronx, New York today.
Well, you're in Yonkers, but you're
We're in
with a,
Yonkers.
yes, you're in Yonkers, but you're with a Bronx born Miss Wheelchair America. So, you know, I grew up in the Bronx, born and raised in the Bronx. And then when I was in my undergrad, Lehman College, when I was in my undergrad, my junior year of undergrad, we moved to Yonkers, New York. So now I'm a Yonkers resident, but the Bronx has never left me. I still work in the Bronx. I am still a Bronx girl, okay? And that has never left. So.
Wait a minute. Look, I'm trying to navigate. She says, I can give you my number if you would like. Yes, absolutely. Please.
Yes.
Please, please, please. I would like your number, and we're going to keep working on this, and we'll see what we can do. And if you
Uh-huh.
guys don't have a committee to help you form one, yep, because that's what
Right.
we do here.
And that's what I say all the time, right? I got into advocacy. I was always into advocacy, right? From a little girl. Didn't know it yet, but everybody used to say, "Oh my goodness, she has the biggest mouth in the world." And mom will tell you, like, when I was, from the moment I could talk, it was on and popping. I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. I gotta do that. I don't want to talk to these people. um,
Now, question: do you have siblings?
I do. So I am the only girl on both my mom and dad's side. It's all brothers. So that is why you could thank them for my love of sports. That is why I love sports.
So where do you fit in the mix?
I am, for my mom's side, I am the baby. For my dad's side, I'm the middle. So I have two younger brothers.
One older and one younger. Yes, I love it. Being the queen that she is, honey. Do the wave. We got the queen wave.
The
Yes,
wave, the wave,
yes, the wave. You got to get the wave.
the wave going.
The wave. How old are you? Y'all already know how old I am.
33.
And you've done all of this in your 33 years. So you have a master's?
Yes, I have a master's from Columbia University.
Girl, hold on. Wait a minute. Here we go. Girl, shut your mouth and keep on talking.
Yes.
From
Yes.
Colombia. Now, the big question: how accessible was it for you?
It wasn't. And I'm going to tell you why it wasn't. First of all, I was the first person in a wheelchair to go through both speech language pathology in my undergrad year and in Columbia. First person ever. They never had anyone. So they didn't even know what that would even look like for me because, of course, you know, with being a speech language pathologist, you have clinical practicum. They
Mhm.
wasn't even really sure how I would navigate all that. And I wasn't sure how I would navigate all of it. It was new territory for everyone involved. So when I did my clinical practicum, I had to search up the places, and I thank God for Miss Beverly all day, every day. Miss Beverly was, I went to United Cerebral Palsy when I was younger, and so that's like an early intervention spot. Been there for years, and so she watched me grow up. And so when it was time for my clinical practicum, she said, absolutely, you could come back here, you can observe our speech therapist, you could work with our speech therapist, and you could get your credits. So that's how I did it. I reached out to places where I had therapy previously, and that's how I did my clinical practicum. So it was new territory
That's
for everyone
that's
involved.
amazing. I was on campus up to my master's degree,
Okay.
and then I finished with the cohort online for my doctoral degree.
How
And
was that? I've always wanted to get my doctorate degree, and then I was
sure,
like, oh, let me take a back seat because school, I was like, I need a break.
well, I will tell you that it wasn't always easy because my stroke was a bleed on the brain
Okay.
and a lot of disconnect. So my bad side, I had the stroke, the bleed on the brain on the right, which it affects my left side. And having to remember was probably the biggest piece for me. And that's where speech therapy, y'all, see, I'm trying to tell you how this all connects. Speech therapy helped me to retain the information that I was getting. And I want to say big shout out to Kingdom University International, who was so helpful with me because reading was difficult.
Absolutely.
It was really difficult. And I'm blind in one eye. So that was a lot of strain for a lot of reading
Yes.
on that one eye. Lots of headaches because I had 5 head surgeries as well, and just having to do it all. I do have to give a shout out to Vicky with Grand Wellness, and we did acupuncture, and we created new pathways, and that really helped me a lot. Is having the brain.
We call that neuroplasticity at work. Your brain networking, rewiring, and figuring out different ways to do things. So.
So that was major for me. And once we did that, it made it easier for me to be able to learn to read, to retain. And so if you tell me something, I'm able to, I get it. But then that's how we learned as a people anyway, that we didn't know how to read. And so we learned by storytelling.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
learned by storytelling. So that's why this platform really works for me. Because we do storytelling. And now I listen. I don't have my hearing aids in because I'm at home and I know the acoustics here. And putting in my hearing aids, you can, whatever you want to listen to comes through your hearing aids. So I do learn by listening. So they did a lot of, we did audio
Okay.
for me. And then I write and I get it.
Yeah, it's never easy, but you make it through.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. For me now, working, I do a lot of my notes on my tablet because I do have limited writing ability going back to cerebral palsy. So just doing that for me is a lot. So I like to do everything on my tablet because then you have pre-recorded words in there and you can just click on them.
Yes.
It makes everything easier. So all my notes is on the tablet, and then the way I structure my session plans is I'll create them on my tablet, but then I'll have like a little box where I could do tallies of all the trials I need to do so I can have accurate notes. And so everybody's like, that's how you do your work? I'm like, yes, I do everything on my tablet. You find ways to make it work for you. You really do.
I do the same. I have I have a tablet, I have a laptop, I have an iPad, my Android phone, and my laptop. And between the three of them, I would do notes as well. And then I'm able to go back to the notes, whatever I need to know, whatever I need to learn. Boom, I put it in one, and then I can see it in all of them.
Yep. And you could
And
take each one, you could take whichever one with you to study. What I used to do when I was doing my classes is I would record the lectures and then I would come home and whatever notes were prominent, I would then type them up on my computer using Dragon Naturally Speaking, or I would type. And I would create study sheets for myself if I knew I had a test coming up. And I would take that study sheet with me everywhere I went and study till the test goes.
And that's the other thing with the VA. They purchase all of that equipment for you. They get you a laptop. They get you Dragon. They get you the headset. So that's how I was able, early on when I had my stroke, to be able to get a lot of my speech back, to be able to go back to school, because they provided that for me early on. I want to say 6 months
Okay, that's
into,
great.
not even 6 months, because I had the stroke in October. And by February, I was in what they call the independent living program.
Okay.
And they did a complete assessment, and everything was in within a week. So they have a contract with Dell, Hewlett Packard, and they have all of that set there. They even provide the insurance for it, so they cover the insurance. Because yes, friends and neighbors. Funny story, true story. I was in my wheelchair, and I was leaving the living room and getting ready to go back to get in the bed, and I was going to take my laptop with me so I could watch, movies on my laptop. And the going from the carpeting to the linoleum, that little lip was not flush enough. So when I hit it, I fell forward. Yeah. Plus the nightgowns. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that people don't even think about when you're in wheelchairs. So the nightgown that I had on, my caregiver had made this cute little knot so that it would come up high enough and it wouldn't get caught in the wheels. Well, the knot came unloose, and the nightgown got caught in the wheel of the wheelchair. So me, the laptop, and the chair, we were all face down, man down, man down. Of course, they run, come and get me up, get me back in the chair. Laptop is totaled, total. Call the insurance company. I get the number from the VA, call the insurance company, and they're asking me, well, how did that happen? Do you know what they did to me? They're like, ma'am, you need Metalurk. Hold on. So they call this number and patch them in, and they're like, our customer needs Metalurk. I said, no, I need my laptop fixed. So, I mean, the Metalurk people are rehearsing the story back to me that I told Dale. And Dale said, we're not going to, their repair system says, until you get Metalurk and we know that's in place, we're not going to repair it, because the propensity of this happening again is 100%. Who asked y'all? Look, I'm going to shake my head like
Right.
this. And as much as I appreciate it, that's not what I called you for. That's not your job. That's not your job. Just do what I asked you to do. But mind you, the VA did get me a medical.
They did
They
get
did
you
give me a
one.
medical. Yeah, they did. Because all of it was in the notes. It all gets sent back to the VA because they're paying for it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing! All my business out in the streets, y'all.
It's okay. We have one
But I
little
had to
bit.
laugh about it. It was funny after the fact, but not during.
Oh, that's how a lot of the stuff is for us all the time. During it, it's just a headache and a half. But then when you look back over it, you have to laugh at some of the things you said. And you're like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said it that way, but I was frustrated, but it was still funny.
It's just like, well, see, what had happened was, so I mean, there's a ton of stories. This is my 13th year being in the wheelchair.
Oh my goodness.
My 13th year, and Have you ever been asked the question, if you could not be in the chair, would you get out of the chair?
Yes. And I never really know how to answer that. Um I think it's different for everybody. I would say from my perspective, because I also do have a cousin who's also in a wheelchair, but he acquired his injury. He got shot. When you're born with a disability, because you don't necessarily know what it was to walk, you don't necessarily miss it in the same way. You, in my perspective, you don't miss it in the same way. You miss it in terms of like, I wish there was times in which I could just integrate with people and it not have to be so difficult. Whereas I'm missing something I lost. Does that make sense? Um,
Yes, because for me, I acquired it at 47
okay.
and I'm now 60. So I've been in the wheelchair, almost 13 years now. And I would have to say, I knew how to walk. I did it for 47 years. And now I agree with being able to integrate more and the frustration with going from church to church and not having the accessibility that I need. I would still choose to be in the chair.
Yeah, I always say like my
I
wheelchair, if I had not been in one, I don't think I would have the perspective on life that I do. So I always say it's a blessing in a way because I'm able to share a different
That's it right there. And I tell people that I I was more crippled when I was walking around than I ever have been in this wheelchair. I have I'm healed, I'm whole, and I am fulfilling my God purpose being in the wheelchair. I really am.
absolutely.
And I appreciate it. And the other piece, and this is truly all my flesh. I'm just telling this, I'm prefacing with this. This is all my flesh. I have like 10, 12, about 10 pairs of red bottom shoes, and I don't want to mess them up. I just called Christian Louboutin Friday. And I said, I got a scuff on my red bottom shoe. I need it fixed. And they said, well, we have a list of certified cobblers that we work with, and you can mail your shoes in and they repair them and send them back. I said, oh no, they're my children's. I'm not about to put my baby on no plane just for some little nicks. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest thing is I have hundreds of pairs of shoes. I have a whole room that the whole back wall is all shoes. They have drawers that pull out. I made it, I custom designed it, and they built it for me. And so I can just wheel up in my wheelchair and pull out a drawer and say, okay, I want this one. I want to wear this pair. And then I have a staging area where I put on the rack what I'm going to wear, the outfit. I bring that from the other closet and I put it on the rack. And then I have a jewelry box that goes from the floor to the ceiling. And then I choose my jewelry. Well, I have two because then I have a big one that is on the wall that cascades down. So I like to just wheel into the room. I look around and I choose my purse, my shoes, and my accessories. And all of my shoes look brand new. That part.
Because we ain't touching the floor. See, now I'm a sneaker girl. So I have sneakers galore. And partly I have sneakers because I wear orthotics. So I wear leg braces. And they
Uh-huh.
help me, like I said earlier, they help me to stand and weight bear. So, you have to get the shoe size a little bigger than your actual foot. So it
Yep.
fits. So I'm a
Yep.
shoe girl because I can't be bothered with the heel and it doesn't sit right on the brace because the brace had. So I said, forget it. Give me some nice pair of shoes, some Nikes, some Adidas, some
Oh my
Puma, and I'll be wearing those and some Ugg boots when it's really cold. And that's what I like to wear.
Yes.
Yep.
I love it. What is your most expensive pair of tennis shoes? How much were they?
I think it would have to be my Uggs. And I think my
Can you
Uggs
tell us? Do you want to tell?
I think my Uggs was 450 I spent on them. Cause they were the
See, that's what
long
I'm
ones that
talking.
come.
That's
They
what I'm.
was the long. They were the long ones that come all the way up. But something. It makes me sad that I have to part with them. Cause every year I get a new brace, I have to get new boots. I'll be like, but this one was cute on my feet.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so can you get them stretched? Because it seems like the
So
base
the
of
brace will stretch it out, but because these are the braces that they make are made out of carbon fiber, so they're molded to your foot. So
yes.
they're hand molded with the cast, and so sometimes the way they shape them doesn't necessarily fit with the back of the heel. That's why I kind of like Billy shoes because now they have those adaptive shoes where you unzip and they
Mhm.
look stylish too. But I still like my UGG boots. I still like to step
Girl, who you telling? So we did try an orthotic, a KFO, so went all the way up my leg. They casted my whole left leg, and it was really cool because as they were, casting, they started with the foot and went all the way up. By the time they got to my knee, they had another tech who was cutting it off at the same time. So by the time they got up to the top part of the thigh, it was, I couldn't believe how quickly it was setting, and they were cutting, and then they put it back together, they taped it back together, and then they made the mold of my leg and my foot. So I did have an orthotic, but I couldn't carry the weight of it. I just
Okay.
never had enough strength, and I had more, I call them spastic attacks.
Okay.
I had spastic attacks to the point where they thought I was having grand mal seizures.
Okay.
And other times it looked like I was having another stroke. So I was always in the ambulance, in the emergency room. At one point, because there was a new guy working the ER, he was getting ready to give me the stroke reversal medication until one of the nurses was like, oh, she comes in all the time. That's not what you have to give her. And he was like, oh my goodness. So the doctor said, you got a choice. We can do an amputation
Oh
below the
no.
knee. We can do an amputation below the knee and get you a prosthetic, and none of this would happen. I was like, nope, that's okay. How about I just don't use anything, and I'm just gonna sit right here in this wheelchair like I've been doing.
Right.
That how about
Right.
we do that? We want to say thank you to Doretha. She's tuning in. And no, Doretha, I am not being naughty. I'm being a good girl. And that's an inside joke. I'm being good. All is well. All is well. And I do believe, yes, we have 2 minutes.
Minutes left.
In 30 seconds or less, what would you want the people to know about you, about your life? What is your takeaway that you
My
want people
takeaway
to
message.
know? Hmm.
I would say, I absolutely love what I do in all aspects of every facet of my life. I am not only a speech therapist, I am not only Miss Wheelchair America, but I have my own podcast as well. But I love being an advocate, right? I just love being able to be a voice for the voiceless and to break down those barriers and for people to see that those misconceptions you may have about people who are ably different, they are totally misconceptions. And we need to start now moving from what I like to call performative inclusion, where we just say you're invited into the room, right? But never really considering us when they make policies or when they do procedures. We need to move away from that performative inclusion of just saying, hey, you're welcome at this table, and really now move towards including us in decisions that make about us. Because without us, you can't make any decisions. So for me, that's what I'm all about, even before my reign and even after and even during now. I'm just all about, let's go from performative inclusion to real, true inclusion, and break down those systemic barriers that keep us from achieving that. So,
Amen.
and I can't
Agree.
do it without you guys. So,
Thank you. A special shout out to the mama, and this is how she put it, the mama of Dahlia. And everybody knows who Miss Dahlia is here. She
yes,
is little Miss Wheelchair America. And I'm gonna give her an early shout out. Her birthday is on the 22nd of January.
yes, it
And
is.
5 years old. Yes. She is going to be 5 years old. So I'm so excited to know her, to love on her, and give her some time here on the podcast. She's got some things, her and her mom have some things up her sleeve, both of their sleeves, that they're going to be doing. And we definitely want to roll it out here. So I'm
Oh, definitely.
excited about that. And I want to say to everyone who tuned in on all four of the Facebook pages, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and those of you who are going to watch this on next week on GRTV 25, cable channel 25. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is our 6th season. It's been 6 years. We started in 2020. And now this is 2026, and we are still rolling here, and we have some great things that are going to happen this year. And Dahlia screamed and clapped and said, "Oh, thank you." And she's dancing right now. I know she is.
Oh, girl.
I know she is dancing. I have a birthday present for her. She's going to really like it. So tune in tomorrow when Chuck Ford is going to be on. He is a children's author of books about disability. His wife has a disability.
Ooh.
So he's created, let me see, do I have it? Here we go. Here we go. This is his very first book. It's called The Littlest Turkey.
Aw.
And I love it. In 2020, during the pandemic of all times, um, my dad invested and I invested in 100 Shades of Diversibility. And we had, if you wrote into us, we were giving away iPads with 2 years of insurance along with the iPencil.
Oh.
And his wife got one from us, 100 Shades, and it's exactly what her husband needed, was the iPad and the iPencil, because you can write a book on your iPad and then you can use the iPencil to do the illustrations. And
Yes.
so what he was able to do. So you guys have to tune in on tomorrow. He now has 8 books that he's done on that iPad.
Oh
So
my goodness.
I'm excited about him coming on tomorrow.
I have to tune in.
And that is when you talk about breaking down barriers and misconceptions. Most people, no, I don't know anybody who expects a person with a disability to be able to do something like that. And my father's blind. He was blind.
Okay.
And here it is. I'm in a wheelchair, and together, what we were able to do in the lives of all the folks. And I do want to give a shout out to all the folks here in Michigan, to my governor and to my lieutenant governor, who have made my life amazing as a person with a disability, being in a wheelchair. She says, "Woohoo! Good Chuck, good job, Mr. Chuck." If
Yeah.
anybody knows who Mr. Chuck is, he is the arm candy for Kathy Ford, who is the the vice chair for Miss Wheelchair America. So just so y'all know. But I want to say thank you to them, to our government, because 15 days into my governor's office, she and I were on a stage together giving out $4.7 million of a mobility grant so that persons with disabilities, veterans, and the elderly could have transportation in their area around the state of Michigan. And she says, thank you both for doing that for people. And you've helped so much make people's dreams and goals come true. Absolutely. So I definitely have to give a shout out to them. I give a shout out to my lieutenant governor who came on a couple of years ago during Black History Month for me. So they have really been instrumental in pushing the goals of a person that has been dissed, which is me. So I will see you guys on tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Until tomorrow, you guys be safe and stay warm.